Happy evening. Welcome to Maheepathi Talks. As you know that now we have been in the process of COVID-19. Many times it happens that colleges stopped, schools stopped, but learning has never been stopped, and sharing of knowledge has not been stopped. And eminent personalities like Colonel B.S Rao sir, they are coming onto this platform, and they're sharing their knowledge in order to make this society a better society. I'm happy that now many people are also watching on YouTube and trying to understand and change themselves. Thank you very much, B.S. Rao sir, for joining to deliver a talk on Be Wanted. I know B.S. Rao sir for a long time, and he has been there always whenever people need, especially for the entrepreneurs and startups. Wherever you need some support, coaching, or mentoring, all skills, sir, is available. And I'm glad and happy to introduce B.S. Rao sir. Has been a Indian Army veteran, and he has pursued IIM. He has pursued at IIM Ahmedabad. He is alumni of this IIM Ahmedabad, and is senior management in corporate and business consultant, entrepreneur, and B School faculty, a startup mentor, head of B School, and has been there now wherever there is a need for the youth and people who would like to work on themselves, what areas they need to focus on. And I've seen, no, he is a philanthropist. I can say that. No, most of the times he is there for the people who need help in making their nations better and growing up development and all. Thank you very much, sir, for having accepted to deliver the talk on Be Wanted, which is need of the hour during COVID-19. How we can be wanted. Now I invite Colonel B.S. Rao sir to deliver the topic on Be Wanted.
So, thank you, Srinivas Garu. Thank you for inviting me on your show. I hope you all can hear me. So at the outset, just one, I would like to say, just in case the light goes off, because it's windy outside and thundering and all, in case the lights go, there'll be a break in the internet connection. Give me 2 minutes. I'll get on to that phone wala Wi-Fi, whatever that is called, and hotspot, and come right back again. In case it happens, let's hope that doesn't happen. I haven't converted that Wi-Fi router to the inverter. That's the problem. Anyway, once again, thank you very much, Srinivas Rao Garu. And it is indeed good to reconnect after some time. It's been some time since we have met, basically because of COVID. Otherwise, I'm sure at least 1 or 2 visits to Anurag would have happened in the meanwhile. Thank you all also. So currently he has already told you all, I'm ex-Indian Army, then I did my management from IIM Ahmedabad, then I joined the corporate world. I was heading HR in an IT company and then in a manufacturing company. Then I quit working. I started my own consulting firm, became an entrepreneur in a food startup. Then I exited that. And I'm a faculty in various B schools, and currently, of course, startup mentor with BYSD and all. And currently, I am the dean of the School of Entrepreneurship in SR University, which is in Warangal. So with that brief thing about myself, Srinivas sir was kind of possibly hinting to me, why don't you talk about startups and entrepreneurs and all that? I gave it a thought and realized that these days, unfortunately, everybody is a startup mentor. I mean, everybody is going around calling themselves a startup mentor. So I said, should I really talk about startups out here right now? Maybe let us use this occasion for something else. And so then that word startup mentor came to my mind. Okay, how everybody is, creating halos around their own head and fancying themselves to be some things. Okay, let us talk a bit about that. And so I thought, let it be more of a freewheeling session without getting too much into gyan giving. I mean, all of you all obviously hear a lot of gyan all the time from everyone, and now have one more person come in giving gyan. And a lot of gyan anyway is all available there on Google. And maybe one aspect in which I pride myself is what I say is not available on Google. I try to be like that. I am like that. And somehow I have been successful over years in telling things which you will not find listed out somewhere in the 10 steps or 15 steps or something which you find on Google for all kinds of things. So this whole thing about being wanted. So let me, can I share my screen, Srinivas Garu? Have I the permission?
You can share, sir. You can share, sir.
Okay, I'll just go to the screen share, and this is it. Let me go here. Okay, somehow the last slide came up first. I hope you all can all see the screen. So
Yes, it's
essentially,
visible.
yes. So essentially what I'm trying to say that in this new world, whether COVID, now of course we say COVID world and post-COVID world, but this is something I have been maintaining for some time now, for the last 3-4 years, that the world is changing very, very rapidly. And what we know to do is not going to be enough to survive tomorrow. COVID has only kind of reinforced that whole thing all over again. Otherwise, this stage in our ecosystem and environment had come about in over the last 3-4 years, where doing what we were doing was not enough. And if we had to stay relevant in today's world, we require to constantly be reinventing ourselves. So the problem is, why do we require to reinvent? I mean, you see, and especially it matters a lot for freelancers, for gig workers. It is not, I mean, I'm not talking in terms of maybe a government servant. I mean, it is okay, they carry on. But for everybody else, their requirement for anybody, what is the relevance to anybody? The minute you become irrelevant, you're not wanted. And how do you constantly stay relevant in a fast changing world? The point is, where is it that we are not relevant? So let's take a look at that. I mean, we create bubbles around ourselves, you know. What am I? You know, we have got, everybody's got something they call themselves by. Why do we create these bubbles? You see, these days, like I said, there's a lot of maximization and superlativeness. You know, everything is awesome. Anybody does any small, tiny thing, awesome, very good, great. Array, what has he done that is so awesome? Simple things he will do. He's going from point A to point B. After when he reaches there, he calls saying that I have reached. Awesome, you are very good. What is this constant use of superlatives is creating a wrong notion in our minds about ourselves. I mean, we book the tickets, awesome. We have got to this superlativeness in everything, great, awesome, and all, is somewhere subconsciously it is is inside us. It is giving us certain notions about ourselves, which may or may not be correct. We have a lot of self-love masquerading as self-esteem. I mean, you know, oh, I'm like this, I'm like that. And why is that happening? Why is that happening? Because of that third point. We are taught that everybody is telling us, you're great, you're number one, you're better than the best. Believe yourself to be like that. It's all good, but it's gone overboard. Everybody cannot be so great. Greatness doesn't happen because somebody constantly keeps telling me, you're great, you're great, you're great. You got to be there somewhere. So that is why I use that word bubble. We are creating a bubble around ourselves. The environment is creating a bubble. Our trainers, teachers, coaches, parents are telling us, you're awesome, awesome, awesome. Oh, is there that much of awesomeness around? Seriously, look around, y'all. Let us look around ourselves and let us see just where is this awesomeness that we keep talking about. And so, but consequently, what happens? We define ourselves with keywords. You all go through LinkedIn. Everybody goes through LinkedIn, where people describe themselves as to what they are. And it is, I mean, what are we calling ourselves? Every other person today is a thought leader, is a mentor, is an evangelist. I mean, some new term picked up. I wonder how many even realize What is the meaning of this term evangelist? Where is it used? What does an evangelist do? Everybody's, thought leader. Every other person is a thought leader. You speak to people who can't say 4 original sentences themselves, but they're all thought leaders. We have been given these platforms where we can write what we think about ourselves. The LinkedIn profile, for example. Hackers. It is not just a technical hacker. We have happiness hackers. Oh, some relationship hackers. Everybody is a hacker of some kind or the other. Some fanciful term to be given to ourselves. Author. Writing books has become easy these days. We have access to a lot of computers, we have access to a lot of data, we have access to a lot of things, we have access to online printing sources, notion books. So no disrespect to everybody out there who's an author or is wanting to be an author, even when I'm wanting to be an author. Okay, but in fact, in my bookshelf behind, I've got 8 to 10 books which are author signed. 20 years back, why even 10 years back, to get an author signed book used to be some huge thing. But now every other person I know is an author, and I've got their author signed books behind me. Okay, nothing wrong in writing a book. You know something, you're writing about it so that people can read it. No, that is not the point. Okay. But what does it do to our thinking about ourselves? And why is it that we can call ourselves whatever we want, but everything that we want to happen to us does not happen? I'm a thought leader. So big deal. Who's asking me for my thoughts in any case? I'm just saying it about myself. Thought leader, mentor, evangelizer, hacker, author, speaker, TEDx speaker. Again, no disrespect to TEDx speakers, but seriously, ever since colleges have been getting licenses to conduct TEDx talks, TEDx speakers are not what TEDx speakers used to be. You are all very knowledgeable people out there, and you know, and you see. So no harm again. Let people be TEDx speakers. But what is happening because of that? Is my being a TEDx speaker helping me in any way? Coach, leadership coach. Another fancy term, everybody is a coach. Every other person you meet is a leadership coach. Never led anything. Never been in a leadership position. Maybe spent 4 or 5 years doing some soft skills training off and on. Suddenly they're fancy. Because we can write all this about ourselves. Platforms permit us to write all this about ourselves. So we create this huge bubble around ourselves that I am like this. Okay. And it happens across the board. I'm guilty, as much guilty of doing all this as anybody else whom I see on LinkedIn. All right. So, and everybody is busy about other people's wellness. Wellness has become this big thing. I'll be your mentor. I'll be your coach. I will tell you what to study. I will tell you how to take your career forward. Come to me. I'll put your relationship okay. I don't know if everybody is a coach. Who are they treating? Who are they giving their to? This is another that big bubble area, this wellness that has come about newly. And now with COVID, this is getting a little more into people's psyches. Okay. And then everybody tells us how to make this bubble bigger and bigger. This is how you should promote yourself on LinkedIn. This is how you should use Facebook to, increase your popularity. Twitter, Insta, YouTube. This is how you promote yourself. This is how you promote yourself. This is how you brand yourself. This is how you. Nobody talks of this is how you make yourself genuine. This is how you make yourself an original piece. This is how you increase your inner, content. This is how you build a strong foundation. Everything is this bubble, social media, this, that, and all, likes, shares, followers. And so then at the net end of the day, I have this idea of self-worth about myself. which may or may not be true. Do I really possess all that I'm talking about? Do I really possess all that I'm trying to display to the world in this effort of selling myself? All those fancy terms, all the use of all these platforms that are available to us. So reality check. Bubbles burst. Bubbles burst. Now comes, what do I do? And this will invariably happen at some stage or the other. Invariably happen at some stage or the other. Requirements are changing so fast. It is not that everybody is lacking in skills. Relevancies keep changing. And when we believe too much in our bubble and that bubble goes put, suddenly we are at a dead end. And you are seeing that each one of you must be having one or two cases whom you have seen during this COVID time, where suddenly the bubble has burst. Whatever I was carrying, whatever I was calling myself or fancying myself to be does not exist any longer. I mean, going around, a lot of us, we spend a lot of time looking for a magic mantra somewhere. What does a person do when they attend training events? They'll attend 2-day workshop, they'll attend a 2-hour workshop, there's a startup workshop happening. A whole lot of wannabe startups go to that 2-hour startup workshop. A 2-hour startup workshop, what is a 2-hour startup workshop going to do? But people go and they keep wondering, somewhere subconsciously in our mind, we are hoping to pick up some magic mantra. Ki, this is it, this is what, and now you watch where I'll go and what I'll do. Sorry, nothing happens like that. Go and attend other trainings. And all the time, not with that intention of, imbibing something very strong. Okay, what is he doing? How are they doing it? Let me photo these slides. Let me copy these slides. Let me something, and I'll make my own module. I mean, haven't we all seen all that happening around us? Where is the solidity? That bubble will burst. So, look, and we are all guilty of trying to find that somewhere. We are constantly seeking somehow something now that nuska mil jayega, that this is it, this is what I was wanting to know, and now what? That doesn't happen. And always wanting. I mean, wanting is fine. The point is, I've got nothing that is wanting. My point is this. We should be wanted. Creating bubbles around us is because it is our self-created bubble. It's our self-created bubble. Any number of people whom I know who have, classified themselves under various categories, call themselves this, and this. I rarely see them doing what they say they are. Rarely see them doing what they say they are. But people are living in that bubble. I am this. Are you seriously, really? Is anybody calling you to do what you say you are? I also like to call myself a thought leader. See, nobody's asking me for my thoughts. How long am I going to live in a bubble? The trick, I mean, it's a fast changing world. It's a fast changing world. And unless we are living in some kind of a secure jobs and all, I don't know which jobs are secure also these days. We would always we looked upon with suspicion as to what worth is this guy to us. And we constantly need to reinvent ourselves to stay relevant. I mean, we have been doing it. I mean, in a sense, let me say, I am 56 years old today. I was born in 1964. And today I'm speaking on a Zoom call. It has not been easy. We grew up in those, firstly, no telephones. The first telephone was 1 in 300 houses used to have one telephone in which that operator used to pick up. Then those string telephones came. You would have seen in old movies. You had to ring the dial. Okay. I mean, then much later, those also were very few and far between. I'm just talking of the communication aspect. Then suddenly these mobile phones came. It was not easy for people like me to start operating a mobile phone. Oh, it was quite frustrating. And then those things keep changing year after year. Now, there was a time one could have continued living using the simple old Nokia 1100 phone. One could have continued living. Nothing would have stopped me living. Okay, I don't want all this nonsense. Every day they change something, every day something. Why do I want WhatsApp? Why do I want SMSs? I don't want to watch video. I don't know. Yeah, don't. I would have continued living. I would still have been 56. But would I have been relevant today? To stay, I mean, at the age of 42, 43, when I was required to learn the Excel sheet, let me tell you, it was extremely frustrating moments of my life trying to learn. Firstly, the computer itself was a new thing. Upar se that Excel sheet. Now, if you either you know it or you don't know it. Otherwise, you just keep staring at it and you wonder what to do. Right, and it may sound very, to this particular audience, it may sound very funny, but really, if you don't know how to do 2 plus 2 formula on an Excel sheet, then it doesn't listen, then you don't go anywhere. Every time I thought I'm non-technical, I still convince myself that I'm non-technical. But if I had just stayed without wanting to adapt to new things, learn new things, or, to start operating these kind of phones with all kinds of fancy things and the Zoom and everything in it, everything. I mean, this Zoom, 2-3 months back, because I had to take classes online for my students. Always you have to change your mindset. And me being a BCom guy who did his graduation in 1985, it was very easy to stay in a zone ki I can't do all this. This reinvention had to happen constantly. And that is why in a career path, my career path, you see so many changes and so many different things I have done. And at the cost of sounding immodest, I've quite accomplished at whatever I have done. Wherein people may feel ki yaar, this guy and that, I mean, how is that possible? For the world of me, I never would have thought that I would head a B school someday. It is there. You have to reinvent yourself. You have to go out and do things which you never thought that you would be able to do, which you never gave yourself credit for. And that famous term, which each one of you is very familiar with, comfort zone. Step out, constantly keep stepping out of the comfort zone. I hope you guys have a pen and pencil ready, just some small things, not that it has to be shared, it's for yourself so that the point gets driven home. I mean, I already said, I mean, nothing is going to be the same. It's a fast changing world that is known. I mean, we all know that, right? So here we are. Can you all take out 15 seconds and with your pencil try to, don't just think, jot it down. You all know the importance of writing down. Everybody's done goal setting classes and taking, what writing down means and not just thinking. Can you all just with a pen or pencil on something try to jot down what your skills are, each one of us individually? My contention is we will write 1, 2, maybe 3. then we'll struggle to write 4, 5, 6, 7. And to write 8, 9, 10, and you know what? We are all those people who have written all those words in our LinkedIn profiles. I'm saying, just do this individually for one's own learning, what our skills are, and see how many you can write. I would presume somebody is doing it. Fine. If you all have, could you all just continue in that line and write down, how am I relevant? And to whom? So I am a thought leader. I'm an evangelist. I'm a hacker. Who's asking for me? Who am I relevant to? I mean, firstly, how am I relevant? What is it that can I do for people? Well, please try to just jot it down. It will be a very good self-learning. And not a matter of self-learning. It is that clarity of hitting that niche, which will always keep you wanted. We don't forever in our lives want to be chasers. I hope I get that. Can I please get this? Recommend me to him, tell them about me. That has to flip. People should be reaching out. Madam, are you free? Sir, are you free? Sir, could you please? Madam, can we expect you? Do these two things. What our skills are? How are we relevant? For whom are we relevant? And write specifically. Instead of going all over the place. What else can we do? That is the whole key. To keep reinventing yourself to stay relevant. Be wanted. Oh, he can do this also. Oh, she's very good at this also. Oh, she's simply very good. I mean, whatever, she can do it. Try doing this. Of course, we are in the middle of this session. My request to you all would be to jot this down, and maybe later in the evening or whenever you have the time, do this. Ruthlessly, self-critically. Do this. Nobody else is watching. It's only between you and that sheet of paper. It is only you and your mind. It's only you and your bubble. And how dependent are we on the status quo? That is what shattered many people in COVID, because the status quo disappeared. The status quo disappeared. But like I said, the status quo was always disappearing. COVID has just brought it suddenly to light because too much happened in too short a time. But the writing was always on the wall. Since 2012, 13, 14, the times are going to change big in a big way. When it comes to us, our capabilities, our efforts, our skills, our relevance, and are we needed? Will we be wanted? Will we be wanted? Or are we constantly going to be in a stage of seeking, hoping, living with a hope and a prayer? How dependent are we on the status quo, and what are we doing about it? That is reinventing to stay relevant. That is being wanted. Never mind the situation. Never mind the situation. What do status quoists do? People who live in the status quo. They like it. They do the same thing. They do it over and over again. They do repeatedly. They call it a skill, they call it expertise, they call it a USP, they'll call it any name, but they do the same thing. And status quoists do the same thing again, over and over again. Any HR people here? You would have had this conversation so often with your team members who come and ask for a raise, and you ask them, what have you done this year that you need to get a raise? What have you done different this year that you need to get a raise? You have done exactly what you did last year. Why do you want a raise? But the status quoist, he will not change. She will not, upgrade. Nothing. Be where they are, how they are, whatever they are, but want more and more. Anybody who's a manager at any level here on this would have experienced this definitely. And just think, are you also doing the same thing? A status quoist is extremely self-righteous. I am doing everything you expect me to do. Oh, wow, great. Those times are gone to do just what is enough for the other person. Everybody looks for things, what we call your, what shall we say, customer delight. And, you have to go 2 steps more. Live by default. They are ninjas. What are ninjas? Ninjas are extremely well-trained people who carry out their works extremely efficiently. That they can do. What do reinventors do? They do new things. They make themselves wanted. They live by design as against living by default. They are the rainmakers. They are the rainmakers. They cause things to happen. And that is what we need to turn ourselves into. That is what we need to be relevant now across the people here. Somebody may be 30, somebody may be 35, somebody may be 40. Remember, you got to be relevant at 60, 65 also. And in this fast changing world, maybe earlier people used to become irrelevant at 55 and 60. These days, life is changing too fast. Redundancy can hit each one of us much, much earlier. So this is something quite, let me say, bookish. Most important here is point number 4. We cannot afford to live with a sense of entitlement. There is no entitlement. Everything is something that we'll have to work towards. Mental mobility, extremely important. Can I do this? Yes, I can do this. Can I do that? Yes, I can do that. After all, nobody is going to come to us and ask us to fly a helicopter in any case. So one does not have to say yes if we say, can you fly a helicopter? But most other things, with a little bit of effort, are well within our capability. So basically, what do we know about ourselves? What is it that we are so good at that we can convert that into some kind of a capability that will keep us already wanted? There's a whole set of things that we cannot do, which is all right. Everybody cannot do anything, everything. Like I said, everybody cannot fly a helicopter. But there are certainly some things that we can do. Once again, pen and paper time. In your own time, just try to jot down things that one can do. Even if you want to say that I can boil an egg, it falls in the category of I can do. See what is it that you can do better than others. I can drive a car better than others, maybe. And in that, what is that one thing which you can do, which you can confidently say, I do this, others also do this, but nobody does it as well as I do. These are all internal, what shall I call it, discussions you need to have with yourself. No need to, always kind of attend trainings and look for somebody to attend this moksha. Start questioning ourselves very critically, very honestly, without an ego. We'll find it. Firstly, do not believe your bubble. Just because there are provisions for us to write what we think about ourselves on various platforms and on the resumes and on CVs and everything, at least somewhere honestly have a very fair idea about just what one is capable of or not, but don't go around believing the bubble that we create around ourselves. Because like I said, bubbles burst. Now just think strengths. Very easy. Each one of us has at some time or the other written a resume. I mean, all of us have our resumes ready at all times. What do we write as strengths in our resume? Communication skills, some leadership skills, team, team person, out of box thinker. That's another very popular thing, out of box thinker. Yeah. Are these really strengths? It was much later in life. I think I must have been around 45 or 46 when I knew what my strengths were. Can you see this? Apart from that last point of communication, nothing else over there would I have ever written as a strength anywhere or even knew that this was my strength. Of course, how I came about all this was through, many would have heard of it, the book called Strengths Finder by Tom Rath. Towards the end, there's a scratch card and you take that test. And that's by Gallup, so it is extremely well researched and extremely well designed, what shall I say, structure or tool or whatever. And in that Strengths Finders book, they have listed out, they did a huge survey across the world, across geographies, across cultures, across religions, across all kinds of a very diverse kind of and huge number of people across continents. Okay, what did they think are strengths? And they came up with 30, what shall I say, adjectives or words, which were strength. These are just 5 of those 30. And none of those 30 is what any one of us visualizes to be, because we are looking at it from a very different angle. I mean, when we write strengths, what we think of as our strengths, when we do our own SWOT analysis. And then there is a particular tool when you do that, and then it threw up that these 5 are my strengths. Are not just my strengths. It's not that I have everybody has all 30 in some varying degrees of levels, that in varying degrees. These are top 5. Life suddenly got simple after that. So I devised my gains in life around these things. And since then, touch wood, one has been in the wanted zone. I did not go around chasing things that others are doing, because what you can do, you can do. I may be able to do it or may not be able to do it, but because you are very successful at it and I try to ape you and try to be like you, oh, that's a mug's game. And now to do this, there's not much effort also required because this is natural to me. You'll have something which is natural to you. Each one of us will have something that at least it will prevent us from hunting around for magic mantras and some keys, some master keys. Continuous learner, of course. I mean, that it's a well-known thing. We all keep using this term all the time, everywhere. Have a mentor, have a mentor. Always good to have a mentor. To somebody to be your mentor. A mentor does not always have to be around you. A mentor does not, you have to speak to him every day. You can speak to your mentor maybe once in 2-3 months, but certainly have a mentor. Why a mentor, who should be a mentor, how to do that is all a different thing altogether, but a lot of experienced people here, you all will all be knowing it. Many of you all will be mentors to others, but even if you are mentors to others, please have a mentor. Everybody needs a mentor. Network, of course, I don't want to expand upon it. We all are quite, I never say no. I mean, except like I said, can you come and fly the helicopter? Oh no, I can't fly a helicopter. But can you undertake this? Yes, can you undertake that? There's really, really very, very little which you actually cannot do. We have only convinced ourselves in our minds, I cannot do this, or I'm not fit for this, I'm not trained for this, I've never done this before. All stuff we have told ourselves. And because what they are asking us to do is outside the bubble that we have created. Oh no, I'm this. I cannot do that. Okay, this is Semi Gyan. No TV, rise early, minimum social media. I don't want to talk any more about it. I believe in this. Most of us also believe in this, but then what? No TV. After this, some IPL match will start, so people will want to watch the IPL. Or today, there's a very good EPL game also, so who am I to tell people not to watch TV? That is it. I mean, everything is a long journey. Let us make these journeys interesting, enjoyable. They need not be stressful. And there is no end point. I like this picture because it kind of continues into infinity. Someday along the way, a person will stop. It's all right. But he will stop while moving. There is no place where we can reach and say, okay, I've reached and now I'll stop. That's not going to happen. And that is not even desirable. And to do that, you have to be constantly reinventing yourself, being wanted, be relevant. What are my skills? How am I relevant to the environment around me? To whom am I relevant in what manner? How can that become my actual USP? And that will help you continue on this journey. It will just keep continuing till one fine day, whenever everybody has to stop, that time. But when we stop, we should be empty. Never have a regret that I should have tried this and I could have tried this and I no maybes. Give it everything, do it. I mean, remain forever young. All right. Keep looking at newer and newer things to do. The ecosystem is not going to wait for us. The environment is not going to. Today it is COVID, tomorrow God knows what it will be. Every time we cannot be that status quoist whose bubble has burst. Bubbles will burst. You'll create smaller bubbles, they'll burst. Okay, create new ones. Be ready for more. Okay. So that is what I just wanted to kind of share with you all, guys. Srinivas Garu, you there? Hello? Srinivas Garu? I'll stop sharing now.
I'm there, sir.
Yeah. So that was it. And my compliments to you, Srinivas Garu, because I was telling one of my colleagues this morning itself, here is one person who's a doer. I mean, one knows of so many people who want to write a book, but they're still, I want to, I am writing. No, he has done it. There are so many people who want to start YouTube channels. No, he has done it. It's done. It's there. And 2 per day is not a joke. Seriously, I can't imagine how you're coordinating with so many people to do 2 sessions per day. I mean, that requires a lot of effort. That requires a lot of commitment. That requires a lot of persuasiveness. You have to dig out people. You have to find people. You have to get them to come. I mean, seriously, awesome. You're a doer, and you are a reinventor. You are not living in that same bubble. You are a faculty, you're everything, you're doing this also. And you will continue. I mean, when this reaches some kind of a saturation point, you will move on to something else. I mean, in future, I shall be taking you as an example whenever I'm speaking as to, how a person keeps reinventing and moving forward. So that is what I wanted to share, Srinivas Garu. I mean, I did not stick to that entrepreneurship thing. Possibly you wanted me to do that. I thought, let me make it a little generalistic. I mean, people are getting yarn from all corners these days anyway. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was it.
Thank you so much. Your session went on like you made to burst all the bubbles which people have and how the things are happening.
Yeah, I
You
hope I
rightly said
haven't
that.
offended anybody. It was not my intention to offend anybody. It was just that, I mean, we need to really look in the mirror once in a while. Yeah.
I understand that you made everybody to go through their inner journey and understand themselves, what are the skills they have got and how they need to go about, what are the areas they need to focus. Because unless you have clarity about what we can do, as you give some kind of pause and asked everybody to write down the skills which they have got and where for whom they'll be useful and how far you'll be able to go. The last slide that you showed, that journey, slide, it was wonderful because it's never ending. It's a process where you need to
Never
go
ending.
ahead.
Absolutely, yeah.
And also, you gave every point, like when it comes to the social media, or else when it comes to the tagline that we give, and how we need to make ourselves better. Unless we know about ourselves, it will be very difficult because you have got, as you rightly said, that your experience and expertise is very important in any area. As you said, that mentor may not be always be with you, beside you, on top. It's like how you have conversation, how you get guidance from the mentor, and how you make your life better. It's also very important. And experience does matter. Theory is different and practical is so different.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
Fortunately, sometimes because of this COVID-19, people have moved on to the virtual. You have seen many generations against that. No, as you rightly said, that from landline phone to the wireless mobile phone, and we are working on Zoom right now. This technology, as you rightly said, about Excel and to all those areas. So it's a never ending, and you started making it to happen. Before we conclude, sir, like I would like to know that what is the one thing that the people should be careful. Why? Because of this COVID-19, many people are under a lot of stress, especially the people who are into the startups or else who started before March. And all of a sudden it has come. And can you tell them that what are the do's for them, especially during this COVID-19, to make themselves, especially the area, because you're more into mentoring the people.
Yeah, so even the startups I'm currently mentoring and all also have run into a kind of breaks have been put onto it. However, the relevancy of what they were doing has not changed. The relevancy of what they were doing has not changed. The relevancy is still there. Only thing is that market sizes may have shrunk. Users, there may be a shift in the kind of users for the products and services that they were making. In fact, one of my mentees he was in QSR segment and he was doing very well. He had set up 3 outlets and all that. All of them shut down by April mid. I felt, but I like the spirit of the guy. He did not give up. Now once again he's picking up because it is the same. The market is still the same. The volumes are lower. Okay. So there are people in the field of IoT. There are people who are making services, edtech related, health tech related. Yeah. So wherever they could continue with their product development, with their prototyping and all that, they have been continuing. Suddenly, media was full of news. I mean, of course, it's a fact also. There's been a lot of downturn in everything and all. So we just imagine, I mean, the startups we are talking of who started off maybe in 2019 or 2000, let's say early 2019 onwards. They started with a certain economic environment and a certain technological environment that was existing at that point of time. The technology environment remains the same. The economic environment has changed. All right, so now you may have lesser users for where you started, but at the same time, there are people who have jumped in with great vigor into new opportunities that have got thrown up now. The healthcare sector, of course, has thrown up a lot of new opportunities. The education sector has thrown up a lot of new opportunities. The home delivery sector has thrown up a lot of new opportunities. So I do know certain people who were working on certain projects of this. They have pivoted and are now changed. So whatever, and they're working on the new projects. I'm saying these kind of sudden, what these are called black swan events. These kind of black swan events will become more and more regular in the coming days. I don't want to be a Nostradamus or something, but the point is, I mean, you see how weather is changing. You see how suddenly there are intense rainfalls and suddenly excessive dryness. You see the California fires, you see the bushfires in Australia, you see heavy rains. They're all, so there are, and all these are going to impact economy some way or the other. Factor in the fact, whatever was your initial idea on which the brakes were put, that is still relevant. The quantums have changed, the markets have changed, the volumes have changed. Doesn't matter. There is still enough for you to now pick up and take it to its conclusion. Secondly, in your journey, now whether you're an entrepreneur or an intrapreneur, I mean a jobber, be aware that these kind of sudden changes, this was due to COVID, today could be due to something else. Be aware that something will happen which changes the entire environment drastically. So in your factoring in whatever your planning process, now in these days, now going forward, I have made it a point in whatever blueprint that we use to make out a business plan and all that. I'm going to make it a point to add black swan event. What do you do if suddenly everything totally changes? Whatever you're working on, what kind of an exit valve have you kept over there to tweak it to a totally changed environment? So every opportunity, every disaster is a learning opportunity. It's a silly thing to say, but that it is. And so just let us be aware. Let us not fret. Array, see what happens. Yeah, it happened. Okay, pick yourself up. Start again. Doesn't matter. Things may be slightly slower. Instead of 2021, maybe put 2023 as a certain deadline for you. It's perfectly all right. But along the way, also plan, can some such thing may happen again. Being prepared. Earlier, we used to be prepared for certain pitfalls. But every time it is only after a pitfall was known that we used to be prepared for a certain pitfall. This has thrown into our lives not a pitfall, it's thrown a huge, chasm. Oh, such things can also happen. Such things can also happen. So my thing would be, firstly, shake yourself up. Whatever's happened. Pick yourself up, start again. That much hasn't changed materially, except the quantum of money involved everywhere has changed. Otherwise, nothing much has changed. Market sizes have diminished and all that. Second, in whatever you are doing now, please be prepared. If for, say, let us call it, for example, COVID-2. If a COVID-2 happens, then what? so that next time you don't have to suddenly put your brakes on things. So that will require a little more ingenuity on your part. That will require a little more deep thinking on your part. That will require maybe to work on multiple products and prototypes simultaneously, especially in the case of services. If this something happens, this is how we will, it's a business, your business plan. I mean, you will require a business continuity plan for your business plan now. So easier said than done, but one requires to sit and factor out all these things into our business plans, and mentors and other evangelists and ecosystem players have also to do some brainstorming as to how are startups going to protect themselves. I mean, right now, though, we are talking of established companies trying to protect themselves. Now that thinking will come, go down certain ways to how startups will protect themselves. But that thought process will start very soon. I am expecting that in a month or so, there'll be a lot of discussions and debates and seminars and all happening on how to factor in a black swan event for startups. Will happen.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for giving confidence and for making them to see that what exactly practically happens and how to face it and make yourself grow. Thank you very much, B.S. Rao, sir, for giving your valuable time and inputs for the people to make themselves how to be wanted, not wanting when they wanted. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you. My pleasure. Good night and all the best, guys.
Thank you very much.